versus Law, very interesting matchup. We're going to see Katakuri probably not try to starve Law necessarily. And Law's 5-drop blockers are not safe in this matchup. Katakuri has so much removal, so many answers for the 5-drop blocker Law that it's going to be difficult for Law to maintain that particular threat. But we will see as the game evolves. Both players are sort of just getting into it right now, getting set up. This is round 7. We're still shooting for 10 rounds. Could end in 9, so 9 to 10 rounds. We will continue to try to avoid Whitebeard for the next couple rounds. Try to find some newer decks in the top tables. All right, and there is the fist bump of game beginning. We see Laws going first, and starting with a Nami. 3 out of 3 Laws today have opened with Nami. It's a great way to start the day for sure. Now we've got Law is going to go ahead and grab a Zoro there. Pretty solid. We'll see if Law wants to take the role of the aggressor in this matchup or if he wants to take it slower. The more time you give Katakuri, the harder it will get, though, as the boss monsters start to come down. We do see a pudding cess from Katakuri. We're going to look at the top 4, find ourselves a Big Mom Pirate. Many targets in the deck. We'll see exactly which one we're going to be getting. Looks like we're going to go for the new Whitebeard Pirate. So that is Charlotte Amande. Activate main once per turn. You can trash a card with trigger from your hand to rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. It also happens to be a 2K. So we'll see if we're going to be using that for its effect or if it's mostly just going to exist as a 2K. We see Law gets 1 damage in and then plays a Zoro. Very scary to attack Katakuri in the early game, especially when they can just get a 5K off of life for free. Okay, we see Katakuri is going to swing, look at his own life. The question is, do we keep it on the top or do we tuck it on the bottom? We're going to tuck it on the bottom. So it's probably not a trigger. Law will take it happily. More cards in Law's hand, the easier the game's going to go. And we see a Parasparrow drop from the hand. Parasparrow's the 3/5, no counter power. On KO, it gets to look at the top 3 for a Big Mom Pirate added to the hand. And it does have the trigger effect. You discard a card and play it, but we've yet to see a Parasparrow come down from the life. Maybe we'll get an opportunity on this attack. Katakuri considering whether he should counter out or not. Gonna go ahead and counter out with Cracker. It is a solid choice to counter out of that one. Right now, Katakuri does not know what the top card of his life is, and probably only wants to take the hit when he knows that it's a trigger. Law just considering what else to do after playing the Dodon. We see another Zoro come down. That is a lot of Zoro on the board right now. Just sort of biding their time, waiting. Don't really want to give Katakuri any targets other than the leader right now to attack. And Katakuri just ready to go, ready to attack that leader. It's like, you know what? You're not going to give me the opportunity to attack anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and just swing at your leader anyway. Okay, so we see a 5K no leader effect. I think we might see the 6/8 Parasparrow come down. That's the 6 cost vanilla. Yep, that one right there. So just the vanilla, but it is a 6/8. That stat line is quite strong. So Law will be able to get to the leader effect this turn pretty easily. We saw Dodon hit a Nami, so we know it's there, and we can also see it. But the question is, does Law have a green card? And more importantly, does Law have a green card worth playing off of the leader effect? That's what we need to find out. We're going to go ahead and see 5 go at the life. Adds it to hand. It looked like the 5/7 vanilla. See Nami come down. Nami searches top 5 for a Straw Hat, grabs a Sanji. Go ahead and bottom the rest. We could see Law use the effect to pay 2 just to put Zoro back in hand and not play anything. Or if he's got the blocker Law, we could see him go off this turn. Let's see. So we're going to go ahead and equip some Dawn to Zoro and swing 7 at the leader. This one also might go ahead and connect, and it does. Into a Shirahoshi, Graceful Charity coming down off the life. Trigger when played, draw 3, discard 2, and play this card. Wow, very strong. We just get to filter the hand now. This is a 0K. It could end up attacking later on in the game, or not. And we see 2 vanillas get discarded, the Parasparrow vanilla and then the 5/7 vanilla, whose name escapes me. Then we see Law's effect, and we do in fact have the blocker Law. Put Zoro back in hand and play a chopper down. Looks like we're probably gonna just swing with leader and give the opponent some reprieve. Let's find out. And we're gonna go ahead, go 7 at leader. It's kind of tough for Katakuri here. Now, Katakuri knows what his last life is. He doesn't know what this one is, but he does know what comes after this one. So it might be worth protecting this one in hopes that it's something that can buy you a turn later. So we see turn passes over to Katakuri. Only Zoro in rest mode, 2 blockers. It's it's running away from Katakuri, but it's not over yet. We see Parasparrow gonna go ahead and swing into the Zoro. And we're going to counter out with the starter Nami. Parasparrow, a very interesting card. Your opponent oftentimes chooses just to ignore its existence entirely because KOing it does too much. And then the other Parasparrow, now the vanilla, goes in for 8 on Zoro. Okay. I think he thought it was a 6. I can't tell what he countered with, but I'm guessing it was a 2K.
Winnabox 44.
He
Please report to
has
the stage.
already
Winnabox
committed the
number
card, so
44. Please report to the stage, please.
unfortunately he will go minus on that exchange. This is tournament though. When you use the card from hand, you have committed it. Lots of Vista. Thank you very much, chat. All right, and we see the 7-drop Big Mom, and you point to your opponent and say, what would you like to have happen? Do you want me to heal, or do you want to take a hit?
If you found
The
the
choice,
unattended
it's yours.
iPad, we have somebody who had misplaced an iPad. If you
Law, go
find
ahead and
one,
take it.
please return it to the front.
Katakuri is going to swing for 6. Look at that life. It's probably going to stay there regardless. I wonder if Katakuri was hoping the Law would choose to heal him. Will this be met with a block? Will he choose to just take it? Hmm. Lots of things to consider here. Definitely a big think moment. It's only 6, so he could block with law and counter out, but he's gonna actually just take it. He's saying, you know what? I've had it with your big moms taking my life away from me. I'm gonna go ahead and get this card to my hand instead of it just going to the trash immediately. Also, it could just be time to try to win the game. Board is quite developed on Katakuri's side. Law just lost lost one Zoro, but he also lost an extra card out of his hand. One of the feels bad moments that could affect it. We know there's still a Zoro in the
So we
hand.
have Avinash
Rush
and
Zoro.
Khalid for your Winnabox is ready to fire at the stage. Avinash and Khalid, if you can
All
go
right, so
to
we
the
see Dodon
stage, your
going after Pero
Winnabox is ready
Sparrow.
to fire.
So if the Pero Sparrow goes down, he does get to look at the top 3 and get a Whitebeard Pirate, which is pretty good. It makes sense for him to go after the board here. He's going to have to wall up a little bit for sure. And we're going to protect the Parasparrow. It's worth more on the board as a body than it is as another card in hand. See Nami come down. This is the 5th card, so we have access to Law's leader effect. Gonna add another 2K. It is tough. You still have the big vanilla Parasparrow looking you in the eyes. Now you've got the big mom. The big mom. I guess this is the little big mom looking you in the eyes as well. These cards are large and it's you could only counter out of them so many times. 6 on the Parasparrow. We might just 2K out of this, or the Parasparrow could go down, having taken 2 attacks and 3 Dawn. That might be enough of an exchange to go ahead and just take the extra card off the top. It depends on what Katakuri wants to, how he wants to continue to utilize those resources. And we're going to see that he uses the 2K that he searched earlier in the game to go ahead and get out of that.
Can have Head Judge Nathan to the front.
And we're going to see 7 at the Parasparrow. Recognizing now that it is just too much on the board. Something needs to give, and that something is Parasparrow. And we get a 10 drop Big Mom. If you are Law, you are not excited to see that. That is definitely concerning because you couldn't do 2 damage this turn. And now that Big Mom is going to put your opponent to 3 life instead of 2 and be a 12k. So now you know the game is going away from you. You put the Nami back, play the Law that untaps your Law blocker. Yep. And then probably pass here. Yep, absolutely. And so now this could just be a turn where we see a 5, an 8, an 8, and then just slam Big Mom. It's definitely a possibility. And in fact, if you swing with the 5 first and he blocks with the Law, you could change your game plan up a little bit and go after the Law blocker. Just going to look at the drop. Looks at the trash, makes sure he sees all options. You're definitely at the point of the game where a mistake can definitely cost you the entire match. So you want to make sure you're methodical with your plays. Make sure you do the math right. Definitely looking a little better that Law decided to take the damage last turn, because that Big Mom could have just been slammed right here. And now we're just kind of waiting. Katakuri is doing some math here. Just doing a little bit of Dawn math. What attacks can I do? How big can my stuff get? I've got a 9 with a leader, double nines, 2 Dawn open, could be a Radical Beam, could be a variety of 2-cost cards. We don't typically see things like Punk Gibson in Law, but you never know. Could be a Punk Gibson or a Red Hawk. Could be a variety of things. Could be nothing. Could just be 2 Dawn left up to bluff. Big Mom definitely sees that there might be a path to victory. Just wants to make sure they do it correctly. I think if you choose to not equip a Dawn here, then you probably are playing for the Big Mom. Okay, so we see getting out of that one. I think the 5K might be the next swing to make, just so you can threaten the Law blocker, force the chopper out. Because if you swing with the 8 now, then your leader has to equip a Dawn to swing. Your opponent knows that you have Big Mom in hand. Putting Cess is technically a threat at the moment. Okay, so we have decided we're not doing the Big Mom. Set the life and rearranges it. Right, so we've got 7 coming across the table. There are a couple options here. Looks like Law is on a whole 5 cards in hand. And we're going to see Chopper block. Okay. All right, so there goes the Chopper. Katakuri just has to navigate the turn. Well, and we do see a Punk Gibson. My goodness, look at that. All right, so Law has now navigated that turn. Lethal is no longer presented. And so now the question is, do we have an 8-drop Katakuri and then just put the Shirahoshi back in life? Uh-oh. 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 Oh no. Oh boy. And Shirahoshi's back in life. Um, well that's concerning if you're the Law player. That is definitely very concerning, but you could still win. It is not out of the question at all. You just have to get 4 attacks through. Your opponent has 5 cards in hand. The Shirahoshi will let them cycle. It's looking pretty far from victory, but it's still possible. You are still Law. You do crazy things. You have a Zoro in hand. It's not over until you pass turn. Law's going to start with a Nami and a Dream. And we're going to go ahead and clear the pudding cess. Makes sense. It's down. Now it's Law's turn to do a little bit of math. How do you swing enough times to win this game? Even with Zoros, I don't really see the line to it, but it might be there. Certainly if it's not, then I don't know that you get another turn. You know your opponent still has 10 drop
4 p.m.
Big Mom.
Chopper, your round one pairings have been posted. 4 p.m. Chopper, round one is now up.
You know that 10 drop Big Mom is still in your opponent's hand, which means if you spend this turn going after board and you fail, or you spend this turn going after board and you succeed even a little bit, that your opponent's going to heal back to 4, and you're in a very similar position, still watching your hand dwindle. And this is the thing with Katakuri. There's so much option that you have. Interesting, he chooses to take the 5K. Of all things to take, I think the 5K that comes across the table there is what you don't take. Maybe he couldn't have gotten out of it, but I don't think you want to. Yeah, we're going to get rid of 2 cards we can't use to counter. I don't think the Shirahoshi draw was necessarily so important to just snap take the 5. It might not matter, but it might. If you get out of one attack, then you're in a much better position, and the 5 might be the smallest thing that comes at you this turn. For example, here's a 7. And oh, is that a Thunderbolt? My goodness. Well, there goes the blocker law. That is heartbreaking to see. That was the card that was originally, I think, the fourth life Katakuri had, and Katakuri put at the bottom. That card's been waiting there. That was an excellent play. That was very skillful. Seeing his yellow jet pistol, his Thunderbolt, and putting it as the last life, knowing, hey, this will probably save me. And I think it very well might have, or at the very least, set him up in a favorable position. And we're just going to go ahead and counter out of the attack. Writing appears to be on the wall for the law player. Even with his leader shenanigans, only 4 Don left up. Not sure. No blockers. He's just going to have 18 come across the table. And yep, there it is. There's the handshake. That was a very well executed match by Katakuri. We see Katakuri putting Law in a position where he just couldn't come out of it. And the Thunderbolt. Now it makes a lot more sense why he took the 5K for the Shirahoshi. The Shirahoshi wasn't the point. It was the Thunderbolt hiding beneath the Shirahoshi that was the point. That was an incredible match. Incredibly well played by Katakuri, and we see why the Katakuri player is undefeated. And Law played the game very well as well. And hopefully we'll get to see more of both of these players as we move into Top Cut tomorrow. This was round 7. We will try to get a side event game fired up here and be back to you in just a little bit. Thank you.